Okay, today I'm going to be looking at and listening to this piece by Olivier Messiaen, the Turangalila-Symphonie. It's the only orchestra piece of Messiaen's that's titled Symphony. And if you notice here, this PDF is 429 pages without front matter. So it is a massive piece in terms of duration. Also, the instrumentation is very huge. Let me pull up the full instrumentation actually, just so that I don't misspeak here, because there's a lot of percussion famously in this piece. This is a really old piece too. It's like 1940s. It's not as old as Quartet for the End of Time, but it is like an early work, you could say. It was revised so it was written in 1948, I guess is the official date, and then premiered a year later. So a lot of Messiaen's compositions are religious or in inspiration or like naturalist, as we've seen. But this one is based on the myth of Tristan and Isolde, which famously Wagner set to one of his first large operas. And he has a couple other compositions concerned with romantic love. This is probably the most famous. Here we go. So it's scored for 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 3, 1. The 12 percussionists, and it doesn't look like any of them are on timpani. And the strings recommended number is like, I imagine 16, 16, 14, 12, 10. And there's also a solo piano part that's very prominent, and Onze Martineau part. The Onze Martineau, if you aren't familiar, is a early electronic musical instrument which was invented in 1928 and popular in France, almost exclusively used in France. It looks kind of like this. It has like very strange speakers associated with it. And it's kind of like a little proto-synthesizer, really. Somewhere between a synthesizer and a theremin. We have vibes, glock, triangle, tempo blocks, wood blocks, cymbals, tam-tam, tambourine, maracas, snare drum, tabor drum, bass drum, tubular bells, and celesta. There's a lot more on this Wikipedia page that I could go through, but maybe it will suffice just to go through the different movements of the piece. There's 10 movements in total. So the first movement is the introduction. The second movement is a love song. The third movement is titled Turangalila 1. And it involves the statement of different themes. Then the fourth movement is called the second love song. The fifth movement is Joy of the Blood and the Stars, which is like sort of a fast dance movement. Messiaen said it represented a union of two lovers, transforming in almost a cosmic scale. Movement 6, Garden of Love Sleep. Movement 7, Turangalila 2. Movement 8, Development of Love. And movement 9, Turangalila 3. Again, these Turangalila movements are like movements that introduce thematic material or restate them. And then the last movement is just called the finale, and it's in a sonata form. I guess, interestingly, the piece was supposed to be 4 movements, like a traditional symphony, which would have been movements 1, 4, 6, and 10, which that would be introduction, love song 2, Garden of Love Sleep, and the finale. Then he added the 3 Turangalila movements and then the subsequent movements. And yeah, this performance here, we'll go with this one, conducted by Gustavo Dudamel, Yuja Wang solo piano. The orchestra is Orchestra Sinfónica Simón Bolívar de Venezuela, and the Ons Martineau player is Cynthia Miller. The Ons Martineau is a very strange inclusion in the piece, and it's probably the most iconic sort of like instrumental inclusion. And if you are an Ons Martineau player, I mean, there's not a lot of repertoire for you to do, but this is a big, huge piece of repertoire for you in an orchestral setting. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I think we can just get started here. Yeah, maybe we can compare it to the other Messiaen pieces we've listened to. Yeah, so I enjoyed this listening session, although it is a very long piece. 80 minutes is a lot for this type of music. It's very active and dense, and it's definitely an acquired taste. I was thinking that a lot of the sort of layering involved and the big contrasts and just this sort of approach to writing with like modes of limited transposition, you could say, is very indebted to like the Rite of Spring, I think, which is all octatonic. And Messiaen does a very similar thing with this piece. It's just elevated a little bit. And he's really developed his own style, like almost mature style at this point. When he wrote this, it's very percussion heavy. There's a lot of like glockenspiel and celesta and piano going on constantly, and Ons Martineau is actually featured a lot, almost in every movement. The first four movements sound like a complete piece already, and they're around half an hour long. 10 movements, I think, is a little bit excessive, but if you listen to this repeatedly, I think you could really get to know it. The fifth movement introduces some new stuff. It's like a lot faster than everything that precedes it, and a lot more melodic. And what else was I was going to say that compared to the other Messiaen we've been looking at, which is later and more birdsong influenced, this is much more almost tonal sounding. Like you can definitely sing these melodies. It's more rhythmically simple and just more accessible in general, I think. But you can see a lot of the same things coming up. So this piece was written in, I want to say, 1948. And then The Technique of My Musical Language was published in 1944. Okay, so Messiaen had already established what his musical language is 4 years before he completed this symphony. And I think it stands to reason, and you can kind of hear this in the piece, he knows exactly what he is doing. Harmonically, melodically, formally, rhythmically, he has figured it out, more or less. Which I think is kind of unique for a composer, like to mid-career kind of have your style completely figured out and be able to explain it and where it's all coming from. And he didn't really stray from this or anything. This is what his music sounds like and how he made it. So I would check this out if you want to write anything that sounds like this symphony. It's clearly free online, and it's published by Alphonse Leduc. Yeah, the next one actually is some Carlos Chavez, and our first Chavez score from 1950.